Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we are going to be talking about the new moon in Aquarius happening on the 21st of January at 1 degree 32 minutes of Aquarius to be more precise. Let me also give you the exact time of the new moon. So this is happening at 8:53 GMT time in the evening. So that is 8:53 p.m. You can adjust for your own time zone. If you have in your astrology, in your natal chart, planets or angles, personal planets such as the sun, the moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, or angles such as the ascendant, the midheaven, around 1 to 2 degrees of fixed signs, the fixed signs are Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo, then you folks are likely to feel this new moon the most. But before we jump into the astrology of the new moon, and it's a good one. It's a good one. I like it. I've got some pretty good stuff to share with you. I would like to share a couple of things first and foremost. All videos on my channel will follow, and they have always followed, Western tropical astrology. In my practice, I use the whole sign house system. If you use a different house system in your astrological practice, then that's your prerogative. That's absolutely fine. Just for you folks to know, because I sometimes receive questions around, I've got a different sign in my second house, or my chart doesn't look like this. You are probably using a different house system. The default house system on online natal chart generators is Placidus. So you may want to adjust the settings and switch to whole sign, but that's a story for another time. The reasoning behind why you would want to do that. Also, if you want to work with me, if you want to book a one-to-one personal astrological consultation with me, you can find me on my website. My website is writteninthestars-astrology.com. If you're a first-time client, you can go to the services section and book a 1-hour live Zoom consultation. If you're an existing client, you also have several additional options, such as the year-ahead forecast for existing clients at a preferential price, or the 30 minutes follow-up consultation. Now, if you're a new client and you would like our 1-hour session to focus on the year ahead, then that works as well. That is absolutely fine, because I know that there are people who reach out and say, oh, I have had my natal chart analyzed in the past. I don't want to go back to just natal chart themes, and I want to talk more about the future, or I want to talk about specific topics such as compatibility or astrocartography or my career or my relationship sector. Then we can absolutely do that. The 1-hour live Zoom consultation is completely customized to your needs. Some of you might be wondering, do I need, or would it be a good time for me to get an astrological consultation? I would recommend asking yourselves the following. Would I like to understand myself better? Do I want to gain a deeper self-awareness, a deeper level of self-awareness? Am I looking to reconnect with my higher mission and purpose? Am I looking to reconnect with my soul's intentions? Do I feel like I'm at a moment in time in my life where I'm looking for a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning, a greater meaning to the divine unfolding of my life? If the answer is yes, then I do believe that an astrological consultation could be useful in this direction. Also, if you are looking to better understand the timing of your life, what sort of life chapter you are in, what sort of challenges, opportunities await you, maybe in the year ahead or in the next 6 months, then again, astrology could be a very, very useful tool to resort to. Folks who have worked with me in the past know that it is my goal to be useful. It is my goal to use astrology as an applicable tool, as a tool that is useful and empowering, that gives us answers in terms of how to utilize our skills, how to take advantage of opportunities, how to be better prepared for challenges. Of course, there's definitely a spiritual side to astrology, but that's I dare say maybe a conversation for a different time, not necessarily for this video. So you know where to find me, written in the stars-astrology.com. 21st of January, new moon in Aquarius, folks. Now, what's happening in the sky at the time? And by the way, you may feel the energy of the new moon as early as 3 days before, and also in the next few days after the new moon. Please keep in mind that new moons are symbolic of new beginnings. They are symbolic of a new chapter starting to unfold in our life. New moons are great times to set intentions. They are great times to start off something, but I generally recommend starting things after the new moon has taken place. So in terms of maybe starting off a business, or maybe starting to write a project or anything like that, I would recommend maybe waiting until at least kind of like the next few hours after the new moon has taken place, because when you initiate a new endeavor, you want the moon to be growing in light. Before the new moon actually happens, it's very, very dark. So you do not want your project to diminish in power and strength in the same way that kind of like the light of the moon is dying down, symbolically speaking. So new moons, new beginnings, new intentions, new commitments, starting fresh. Sometimes people say, oh, nothing major has happened at the time of the new moon. You have to remember that the new moon is the seed moment. So it may not be very visible to you how things will unfold. It may not be very visible to you what the outcome and the result of what you're starting, of the chapter that you're kicking off. It might not be very clear to you how it's going to turn up or how it's going to turn out. Sometimes things happen, or events happen, or you have ideas, or something gets set into motion at the time of the new moon, and maybe it doesn't immediately feel significant and important, but when you look back maybe 6 months from now, at the time of the full moon, when you look back 6 months from now, you might realize, oh, that conversation that I had with this person, that meeting that I had, that idea that I had, look how it has blossomed. What's going on in the sky? Because that's where we were, folks. At the time of the new moon, obviously the sun is going to be conjunct the moon. That is the seed. That is the seed moment. And Saturn, which is the dispositor, the ruler of this new moon, Saturn is in Aquarius also, in conjunction with Venus. The keywords that come to mind for this new moon are the following: commitment to a long-term group project, commitment to a long-term goal, maybe becoming part of a collective, becoming part of a group of people, joining a community, maybe a professional community, and aligning your goals with the greater goals of the community, starting to work in the direction of a humanitarian goal. These are some of the key phrases that come to mind at the time of this new moon. New beginning. My apologies. I'm like that. New beginning. A new beginning involving a group of people, a new beginning in your friendship sector, for many people in the area of friendships. Now, sometimes new beginnings also involve walking away from what is no longer contributing to our growth. So there could be a feeling of maybe kind of like cleaning up our circle of friends and being more intentional about who we spend time with. I like the fact that the new moon is forming a wide trine to Mars in Gemini, because even though it feels like people are committing to long-term goals, there's already these kind of like clear, like actionable ideas in terms of how to move forward quite rapidly, in terms of how to move forward quite fast and set the wheels in motion now, ASAP. Rather than, I don't know, like having to like wait for a very, very, very long time. There's a lot of mental energy, there's a lot of air in the sky, so naturally there's going to be a lot of talks, a lot of conversations, a lot of socialization, because I don't think that actually has like a plural form. You have to remember that English is not my first language, so if I sometimes say stuff that makes zero sense in English, please forgive me. It's probably me translating the word from Romanian into English, or translating a phrase from Romanian into English. A few recommendations for this new moon: talk to people, brainstorm, ask questions, reach out to significant communities that you are interested in becoming a part of, that could help you advance professionally, that could help you further your goals. Ask yourselves, folks, what are the greater causes that I would like to contribute to? How can I align myself also to a greater movement, a movement that society can benefit from? It does feel like there's some sort of, especially at a collective level, there's some sort of like benefits in terms of masses, in terms of the masses of people, in terms of like the regular kind of like Joes. This could also be a new beginning for many groups of people who have been fighting for their rights, who have been fighting for equality in some shape or form, or who have been fighting for better treatment. I'm thinking of, I don't know, for instance, here in the UK, there's been so many protests. There's been protests in the hospitals. There's been protests in terms of like delivery services, transportation, train services, and so on. I do believe that this new moon can bring some benefits, some wins to groups of people. At the same time, it may also feel like they have to give something in turn, because Saturn is conjunct Venus. So I do see an energy of like compromise. So I wouldn't necessarily call it like a clean win. I don't necessarily see groups of people getting everything that they have asked for. There's also possibility at a collective level that there could be announcements, there could be news around how certain groups of people are going to be restricted. And I realize that's not maybe necessarily it doesn't sound very positive. There could be new rules or new regulations coming into place that feel restrictive to certain groups of people. Politicians could say that they are in the benefit of the greater good. They are in the benefit of society as a whole, even if the rules and the laws and the regulations are restrictive to a specific portion of society. Talks about democracy, equality, a lot going on around that. Maybe kind of like new laws being implemented in that regard. Those would be the key topics that come to mind in terms of this new moon as kind of like a general archetypal set of energies that we're likely to deal with. Now, of course, we're going to go into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs. Bear with me. Before we go there, I strongly recommend listening to the forecast for your ascendant, for your rising sign. This is how I build my horoscopes. They are built with the rising sign in mind. This is the closest thing that you can get to a personal astrological consultation. Obviously, in a personal astrological consultation, we look at the entire chart. We take everything into account. All planets, all angles, all degrees, and so on. But if you are not looking to get a personal consultation, or you're not ready for it yet, then I strongly recommend listening to the update for your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, then of course you can listen to the update for your sun sign. We're obviously going to start off with Aries. Aries suns and Aries risings. My lovely Aries, 21st of January, 3 days before, 3 days after, there is a new moon happening in your 11th house of long-term goals and groups of people, clubs that you maybe belong to. You may kick off a new group project. I'd say you may join a new community. You may become a member of a professional community, of a club that is somehow associated with your work. Why? Because Saturn, which is the ruler of this part of your chart, but also the ruler of your career path, is in conjunction with Venus. So you may join a group of people where collaboration is emphasized. There is a focus on work and profession, but you also seem to enjoy connecting with these people. So there is a degree of pleasure here. The new moon is very nicely aspected to Mars in your third house. You could start brainstorming ideas straight away with these people. You could have some very, very productive conversations. You could talk about a future collaboration. You could be talking about contracts. You are excited to sink your teeth into working with this broader community. If you're looking to launch something to a wider group of people, then this could be a very, very good time to do so. So I don't know if you're looking to launch a course, for instance, but I would see it more as a slow burner rather than as a quick win, as kind of like a quick resounding success. I would see it as something that can yield results in the long run. So there is a certain degree of patience and discipline that needs to be emphasized at the time of this new moon. Also, great time to set new goals, my dear Aries, especially goals of a professional level and goals connected with relationships, both personal as well as business relationships. Now, when I say personal relationships, you might commit to a partner and say, listen, every month we are going to go on date night on the, I don't know, last Thursday of or last Friday of the month. That is Aries. My dear Taurus, Taurus suns and Taurus risings. What can you expect from this new moon? 21st of January, 3 days before, 3 days after. I like this. I like this. I like this. I like this. It is a new moon in your 10th house of career. A new beginning professionally. You might win a new client. You might get a raise. You might get a promotion. You might step into a new role, a role that comes with more responsibility. I'll just put it out there because Saturn is also in Aquarius at the time of this new moon. But you seem to feel, in a way, comfortable with the level of responsibility that this position is coming with. Since Saturn is going to be conjunct Venus, I'm liking that the new moon is harmoniously aspecting Mars in your second house of income. If you have been looking to, I don't know, like negotiate a contract with an important client for quite some time. Mars obviously has been retrograde for a long time, since the end of October. It just got out of retrograde on the 12th of January. You might finally feel like you are reaching an agreement and you're starting to get paid by this big client. So I see this as an exciting beginning career-wise that is also going to pay off financially, my dear Taurians. Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings. What is going on at the time of this new moon for you? So 21st of January, 3 days before, 3 days after, there is a new moon in your 9th house taking place in your 9th house. You may start a very kind of like laborious, a very maybe long process, but fulfilling, and a process that is kind of like worth it in the end, in terms of maybe applying for a new passport, a new residency, maybe applying for a visa of some sorts, maybe applying to a PhD or a master's degree. So you could start a new academic journey, an academic journey that requires time, patience, commitment. But at the same time, it is something that brings with it, I want to say, a high degree of personal fulfillment, since Saturn, the dispositor of this new moon, is also the ruler of your 5th house of enjoyment and fun and creative self-expression. So you could also, some Geminis could start studying something that is going to last for quite a bit, maybe at least 6 months. It could last for a few years. Some Geminis might start studying something that they are passionate about. So they could start, I don't know, like taking courses and classes with a mentor, with a teacher, with a guru. You might also become a member of some sort of like academic or spiritual community. That is certainly very, very likely as well. Overall, remember that you don't have to do everything by yourself. Remember to collaborate with the people that are kind of like on the same path, either academically or spiritually, or when it comes to getting maybe that visa or that residency or something along those lines, my dear Geminis. Now, if you are, let's see, a Cancer sun or a Cancer rising like yours truly here, 21st of January, 3 days before, 3 days after, there is a new moon in your 8th house. Saturn is going to conjunct Venus in the 8th house. Venus for you, my lovely Cancerians, is the ruler of your 11th house of plans and of your 4th house of home. So I feel like you are entering into some form of a commitment with someone else of a financial nature. So for instance, you might set a goal, set an objective together with a partner to start saving money, X amount of money. It's completely up to you to start saving money to maybe renovate the house or to build an extension for the house. You could enter into a long-term contractual agreement with the bank, for instance. You could apply, I want to say quite successfully, if you ask me, you could apply for a loan of some sorts. You could initiate the process to like apply for a mortgage possibly, or to apply for a scholarship or a bursary. You could also start taking very seriously the topic of investments and pensions and generally kind of passive income, my dear Cancerians. Again, it does feel like this is in collaboration with someone else, so you could benefit from the advice, from the help, from the input of a consultant, maybe of an accountant, or you could, together with a partner, start maybe contributing more to your pension. I think that was my cat. He's roaming around. And that is Cancer. Now, if you are a Leo sun or a Leo rising, my lovely Leos, 21st of January, 3 days before, 3 days after, there is a new one happening in your 7th house of relationships. It is very nicely aspected to Mars in the 11th house of long-term goals and plans. Finally, it feels like you are entering a business partnership that you are excited about, my dear Leos, from a professional perspective. I dare say. Why professional perspective? Because at the time of this new moon, Saturn is going to conjunct Venus in your 7th house of partnerships. There's going to be a very kind of like strong business, professional, contractual, serious flavor to the partnerships that are crystallizing and materializing at the time of this new moon. Your partner, if you are in a relationship already, could start a new job. Finally, maybe if they have been feeling, I don't know, like blocked or stressed or stagnant in their life, it may feel like they're excited to move forward with their life. For you, my dear Leos, Venus is also the ruler of the third house. So there is a possibility that maybe your partner could start studying something or could start being more kind of like active within their community and kind of like get out of the house more. It does feel like you are reaching a long-term agreement with someone. Now, for some of you might say, listen, Rex, I'm single. Am I going to meet a partner? There is a chance that you could meet someone around this time, or that you could feel connected with someone around this time, but I don't necessarily believe it's a new person. So it may feel like you are open to giving a chance, to giving a shot to a relationship, maybe with someone who you've been friends with for quite some time, and now it just feels like things are starting to move forward, maybe in a different direction, possibly in a romantic direction. Why not? For Leo risings in general, even like marriage is probably going to have a very strong friendship flavor, because you do have Aquarius ruling your descendant. So it is, I know there's like a lot of like prejudices and misconceptions and stuff like that around mixing like friends with like romance and so on, because it gets messy. I'm like, nah. For you, my lovely Leo risings, I'd say that this is part of what you're here to experience in this lifetime. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, my lovely Virgos, let's see what is going on in your life. 21st of January, new beginning, 3 days before, 3 days after, either work-wise. So some of you could be starting a new job or a new work-related project. It doesn't always have to be a new job. You could kind of like start working on a long-term project, on something that will require like time, patience, effort, something that ramps up your level of responsibility, of duty and responsibility, something that might require kind of like patient collaboration with other people. Some of you Virgos may also start a new health regimen. So you could commit to working with a personal trainer, for instance, or you could start seeing some type of therapist or a certain type of doctor that you kind of like go back to consistently. There is a very strong energy of collaboration with someone else, an advisor, a consultant, someone along those lines, for both health purposes as well as work-related purposes. It is a good time to commit to new health goals, long-term especially. I mean, of course, if you're a Virgo, especially if you're a Virgo rising, you could be quite consciously aware of the need to look after your health. But as Saturn is still involved in this lunation, so Saturn is not yet out of this part of your chart, my recommendation would be to commit to something health-wise in the long run. So to make a lifestyle change, basically, to make a change in habits for the long run rather than looking for quick wins. The new moon is very nicely aspected to Mars in your 10th house of career. So I do see a certain type of like unblocking of stagnant energy career-wise, of really feeling like, yes, we've hired the new person. We are no longer required to work, I don't know, like weekends or evenings. You could make a new hire, or a new member could join the team, which is probably going to be someone that you get along quite well with and that is going to ease your burden somehow. Even though it might add to your responsibility as a manager, my dear Virgos. Now, if you are a Libra sun or a Libra rising, my dear Libras, this new moon is happening in your 5th house of children and romantic love and creative self-expression. It is very, very nicely aspected to Mars in the 9th house. Okay, so I'm liking this for a variety of reasons. Some of you might start dating again, especially if you're single. You might say, okay, I'm gonna put effort into meeting someone. I am going to commit to get out of the house, to go out more, to travel more, to maybe be more active within the groups of people that are passionate about the same things that I'm passionate about. There is a possibility that you could meet someone when you're out into the world, maybe kind of like attending an educational event, something that is also linked with the work side of things. There is a possibility you could meet someone in this setup, and there could be a certain how should we call it, like chemistry from the very beginning, but also coupled with a little bit of reluctance, just because there could be a feeling of apprehension around maybe a conflict of interest if you've I don't know, like felt attracted to a colleague, let's say. This could be a time when a child, especially if you have children, kicks off a new educational chapter. You seem to be quite proud of them. It could also be a time when you initiate some sort of like project that you're very invested in mentally, something that will require time, energy, focus, and patience, and a certain level of studying and kind of like broadening your horizons, very, very possibly. Some of you could book a new trip around this time. Some of you could also connect with someone that feels like some form of a mentor, my dear Libras. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, let's see. New moon in your 4th house of home, my dear Scorpios, very nicely aspected to Mars in the 8th house. Oh gosh, I have jolly good news, Scorpios. Sarcasm. I know Scorpios speak fluent sarcasm, so I'm not afraid to be sarcastic with you. Some of you Scorpios could be moving into a new house. Some of you Scorpios could, especially Scorpio risings, could could hear news of the fact that a crisis is over. A crisis has ended at home, or maybe in the life of a parent. Maybe some financial obstacles or difficulties have been overcome. Maybe some financial obstacles or difficulties have been overcome by your partner. Also, if they have been encountering any sort of challenges with their parents, you might hear news from your partner when they say, yes, it's over, it's solved, I have fixed the issue. Some Scorpios may start some long-term works on the home, on the house, that maybe require significant investment and maybe getting some credit, but it does seem to be for a good long-term cause. I do see the energy of investing in a home, I'd say. Saturn is, for you, my dear Scorpios, also the ruler of your 3rd and of your 4th house. Someone could be leaving your house, but I think that you're happy with that. I mean, let's say, I don't know, a parent has been having issues and they spent some time with you at home because it was easier, I don't know, for you to take care of them in your own home, and now they're feeling better and now they're leaving your house. So you've got reasons to, in a way, to celebrate because your parent is feeling better, and also because you're gaining back your space. Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. 21st of January, 3 days before, 3 days after. There is a new moon happening in your 3rd house of learning and communication, very nicely aspected to Mars in the 7th house of partnerships, relationships, and one-to-one collaborations. It feels like you're starting a new project in collaboration with a partner, something that involves communication, learning, writing, marketing maybe. You could make a significant purchase around this time, or you could finally find a significant buyer if you have been looking to sell something and it just hasn't been working for whatever reason. You could also, especially if you've got kids and you're in a relationship, you could feel like you are finally on the same page with a partner about your children's education, about something related to school, something related to their studies or their learning environment. Some of you might start taking driving classes, driving classes. Yeah, I think that's how you call it. You could also hear some good news of a crisis coming back to a place of stability and of a solution popping up when it comes to siblings, especially for those of you who have siblings. I'd say that you might also start working one-to-one with a teacher, someone who has more experience than you, and it does seem to require a financial investment, but it seems to be an investment in your future. So I would make some maybe I would set some long-term goals and intentions around your educational, let's say, objectives, and ask myself, would I benefit from working with someone from the outside, someone who's been doing this for quite some time? The answer is probably yes. Now, if you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, my dear Capricorns, this new moon is happening in your 2nd house of income. You're like, yeah, new money, more money. Yes, it's possible. It's possible that you could start making So it's kind of like it's a mixed energy. In what sense? You could start making more money. There could be a new client coming your way. You could see a raise, but at the same time, it also feels like you're looking at redoing your budget because Saturn is still in your second house. So Saturn is saying, listen, you've got money to work with, but you have to be very responsible, frugal, disciplined, in control, not spend on like frivolous matters. If you do spend on something, I would spend on financial advice. You could also start working with some form of I want to say of a coach that can help you maximize your potential and monetize your talents better. I would not expect to see results overnight. I do want to put that out there. On the other hand, if you've got the patience and the commitment to specific goals career-wise, you could benefit from someone else coming in and helping you kind of like hone your skill set. You could also start spending money. So this new moon can bring a new expense on something that you appreciate and enjoy, but that requires a long-term commitment. It could be something connected with children or your career or a long-term endeavor, dear Capricorns. Let's see. My lovely Aquarius. Aquarius suns, like yours truly, and Aquarius risings. You are the stars of this new moon, obviously, because it's happening in Aquarius. Everyone is like thinking about you, talking to you, looking at you. Let's see. My notes have just popped off the screen. What's going on? So this new moon is happening in your house of identity and new beginnings, and it's very nicely aspected to Mars in your 5th house. You could make a commitment at this time, Aquarius, to spend more time doing the things that you love, to spend more time engaging in activities that make you happy, engaging in maybe educational or intellectual activities, projects, courses that really kind of like stimulate your mind and energize you at the same time. You could also learn something really interesting about yourself around this time that kind of like changes your perception around how gifted and talented and special and unique you are. It is a good time to give yourself a pat on the back, my dear Aquarius, because you could be looking back at the entire period when Saturn has been moving through Aquarius since the end of 2020, and you could see how far you've come. You could see that you are a much more refined, disciplined, in control, mature, responsible, no-nonsense version of yourself. It's almost like a time to give yourself credit for having given up on the elements of your life that were not helpful, healthy, or constructive. You could start forming a new relationship with your body around this time, my dear Aquarius, maybe through a new type of physical movement or through engaging maybe in one of your old, let's say, passions or hobbies that involve movement and competition and socialization, I'd say. And last but not least, my dear Pisces suns and Pisces risings. This new moon is happening in your 12th house, my dear Pisces, and it is very nicely aspected to Mars in the 4th house of home. A lot of privacy and a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at the time of this new moon, dear Pisces. Not a lot that you may want to share with the outside world unless we're talking about like family. So whatever new beginning you're going through, you may feel called to keep it close to your chest or maybe share it with a few kind of like close people in your private circle, in your family life. I feel like you're committing to a new spiritual path, my dear Pisces. You could start meditating, for instance, or you could start putting effort into understanding your shadow side better, understanding your self-destructive patterns better, understanding the ways that you have been sabotaging yourself up until this point. It's almost like you have an aha moment and you realize, oh wow, I can learn about these things and I can remove them from my life, and now that I'm in the know, and now that I'm in a way kind of like illuminated, let's say, they don't have that hold on me any longer. It also feels like you're finally letting go of some sort of like anger, Pisces, especially Pisces risings, with a family member. It could be a parent possibly, but it could also be someone else in the family. It might also feel like you are done with just kind of like running around the house. You can rest. You're entering a chapter in which you're likely to be focusing more on your mental health and your rest and relaxation. And that can be done in a group type of environment as well. So you could be possibly joining like a spiritual community, or start going to, I don't know, like a temple or something like that. It doesn't have to be a temple. It doesn't have to be like an institutionalized form of spirituality. It was just an example. Remember that astrology is only archetypally predictive. We as humans, we have the free will to work with the energies, and there are also various different concrete scenarios and concrete formats in which the archetypal and symbolic energy of astrology can manifest. So please focus on the energies and forecasts. My recommendation is to not get too hung up on the concrete details, because astrology is not clairvoyance. So astrology has its limitations, and it cannot tell us those things with precision. That is your new moon update, folks. Your new moon in Aquarius. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's the last new moon in Aquarius with Saturn there. Of course, we're gonna have a full moon in Leo coming up, where Saturn is still going to be involved in the lunation, because it's in the opposite sign to Leo. We've come a long way. We've come a long way at a collective level. Remember that if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. I am currently, and I'm filming this on the 18th of January, taking bookings to work with clients in the last 2 days of February, to be very specific, and the first part of March. So if you want to get in, if you want to get in there, if you want to get on my calendar, if you are interested in understanding yourselves better, or looking at the year ahead, understanding possibilities, potentials, opportunities, themes, energies that you're dealing with, so that you can better make use of them and align yourselves with the cosmic rhythms, you know where to find me. And I am also on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @ruxunbelievable. If you would like to leave a token of your appreciation on this video, there is a thanks button where you can make a donation just underneath it on YouTube. Your energy is very much appreciated. Thank you. I will see you next time, folks.